Welcome to Mac Moments. I am Melissa Chavez, founder and CEO. This podcast is a space for honest conversations about focus, leadership, and what it really looks like to build and grow a business in real time. Each episode is a moment to slow down, think clearly, and move forward with intention. Let us get started. We have Veronica Cram with Insight Strategic Solutions, and who is a whiz at numbers. I hate numbers so much.
You're not alone.
Oh my gosh. Tell us first a little bit about what Insight is and what you do, and then we can kind of dive in and just talk your favorite numbers.
Okay, Insight, we started the firm in 2020 during COVID when everybody was
such a
reevaluating
great
their lives,
time.
right?
Yeah.
Just
Oh my
like
gosh.
you. We're all reevaluating what do we want to be when we grow up. And I started it because I figured out that I have a knack for translating numbers into operational words and words that business owners understand, because most business owners don't go into business to read a P&L and a balance sheet and
Oh, what is a
look
P&L?
at cash flow,
Yeah.
right? Nobody wants to do that. They want to go and they want to do marketing. They want to knit. They want to do all these great things. And so that's where I come in. And so I come in to help them see, hey, what's already happened financially? And then what can we change operationally in order to achieve their future goals?
Yeah, it's a big deal. When I started my business, one of the first positions I was savvy to hire for was a bookkeeper, baby steps, because I know I do not like numbers.
Yeah.
So what would you say, being that you work with different clients in different industries, that you see, we'll say, a new company struggles with? Just brand new. They come, they find you, and you consult.
Yeah, newer companies struggle with, when you're new, you're wearing every single hat, right? You are marketing, your operations, your sales, you're delivering the service. It's figuring out what is that perfect mix, right? How do I know I'm doing the right things? Because when you're new, you don't have a track record. You don't know how many coffee appointments does it take to get a signed contract.
Yeah.
You don't have the data yet, right? And so everyone's just trying to hustle. You don't even know if coffee is what's going to get the deal signed. You don't know if it's, this cousin of a cousin is actually, that person's a better deal to go after. I see that a lot. It's, hey, I don't have the time and I'm trying to do everything. And so not everything can be done perfectly, right?
No.
On the finance side, I applaud you in saying that you needed a bookkeeper, because some people are like, I'll just do it myself, or I'll just keep it in Excel, or I'll just do this. And any method you choose is fine as long as it's done correctly. Because I have seen clients pay a lot of money to get all of their books cleaned up, like a lot of money.
Because they didn't know what they were doing at the beginning. And it's not intentional.
No.
It's just, you don't know. You know how to fix, I use plumber as a reference a lot,
Yeah.
because they know how to fix the pipes and make the water flow. They don't necessarily know how to make the cash flow.
Yeah, exactly. Or how to price.
Yes.
Right? And when you're thinking about pricing, whether it's services or product or a combination thereof, a lot of times people get focused on the cost. Owners like, well, I make this amount, and so I should be charging this. Whoa! There's cost-based pricing and there's value-based pricing, right? And so let's talk about it. It doesn't need to be all in on one or all in on the other, but let's talk about it so that you can come up with a good pricing. Because pricing should not just cover your costs, but it should leave something left over for overhead, for profits. Because then the IRS is going to want some of that. We all know that.
That was it.
Yeah.
I was just audited, surprisingly.
No.
What was for
Was it
payroll?
sales tax? Oh, payroll.
Payroll. Sales tax, I'm covered.
Yeah.
We have a separate account we set up at the beginning to do that, so I would not worry about that. But let's talk about the IRS. I'll try to keep it PG rated. When a small business is going into business, if they're selling a product, obviously they collect sales tax. And I say obviously, and I probably shouldn't, because a lot of people may not realize that you do need to collect sales tax. And it's going based on where the product is delivered, not just where you're located. So
Thank you, Wayfair. Every county. And I have a lot of clients, as you know, up in Pennsylvania, and they not only have counties, but like townships. And so they have like school taxes too. So you could ship a product to one address and you're paying 3 different entities.
yes.
Sales tax. It's insane.
And there's so many softwares out there that can help you with that.
Yes.
However, let's just say, I'm not going to throw any software out there. We'll just say the very common one out there. you're trusting that software.
Correct.
You pay your taxes. IRS comes and says, oh, you goofed. They're going to tell you ignorance is not an excuse.
Correct.
So what would you recommend to a client or business owner who's really like, what? I don't want to freak people out, but what would be a good step, maybe baby step that they can check?
On sales tax, baby step to check is on their, I'm going to get super nerdy in accounting.
That's okay.
Sorry, Melissa. You asked the question.
It.
On the balance sheet, if they see that number is not being zeroed out on a monthly or quarterly basis, like it just keeps growing over time. Like if they look at their balance sheet over the year and they're like, every month it's going up. That's like your little, Scooby-Doo ear kind of coming up. Like something may be wonky. But if it's going to zero, you know that everything you're collecting is going out.
Yes.
The IRS really hates it when you're collecting and not paying it out.
Right.
So there's a difference between, hey, I collected it and I paid it all out. I just paid it to the wrong place. That's more forgivable and less of a penalty than the opposite.
Yes, penalties. Those are so great.
Yeah.
And for things that you don't know. And in here in the state of Alabama, you have privilege tax, property tax. For a conference table that I'm using, I have to pay that tax every year. And it just infuriates me to no end. But it is a reality of business.
It is a reality.
And it's a thing I choose to continue to do.
It is a reality. And I think, no matter the size of the company, I think there's some kind of negative connotation sometimes to profit and to paying taxes. And I'll have people say, well, how can I minimize my profits so I don't have to pay the IRS? And I'm like, if you want to pay me $1 so you can save 30 cents, we can do that all day. Like all day long, I'll keep doing it.
Yes.
It's okay to have a tax strategy and to be like, hey, I know I need this vehicle. I might just want to accelerate it by like 6 months so that I can take advantage of this tax deduction or credit. Or, hey, I know I need this, but maybe I'll take advantage of it a little bit earlier. But the taxes are going to catch up with you eventually.
Oh, absolutely. And it's not like we go into business not to make a profit. I mean,
Correct.
We want whatever it is we want in our lives. Yeah. And so I'm okay paying my fair share.
I wish everybody was okay with paying their fair share.
When they become a rather invasive,
yes,
is when I have a problem. But that's just my personality maybe. But taxes are part of life. I know it contributes to my city,
part of
my
life
country,
for small businesses.
Yes, it is. And understanding them is the biggest challenge, I think, for any small business that's starting out.
Correct. And I do not do taxes, so I do rely on my CPA, but I know enough to be dangerous.
Well, and that's the thing.
I know enough to put my Scooby-Doo ear up, right? Well, be like, what's this about? What are we talking about? What are we talking about?
So when you're working with clients, you see them struggling with certain things. What are some insights that you could give to just the general public to also know, other than looking at their P&L, to help them build with intention?
Yeah. So to build with intention, keep in mind, financial statements are just a look in the rearview mirror, right? Your P&L says how much money you made, what you spent it on, your profit. But all that's already happened.
Correct.
That's not telling you what's about to happen, right? So when you're building with intention, it's about, okay, what's happening today? What's happening this week? What are my targets? Are they going up? Are they going down? So that you can make immediate pivots to achieve your goals. If we know, for instance, hey, for every 10 quotes I send out, 2 will get approved, and my average first sale to a customer is $10,000, right? And I know, like, you can start to predict that because all all of a sudden if that rate is going up to 4 and 10, you're like, okay, what's happening? Is it different customers? Do I need to be reaching out to these? Like, then you can start making those intentional decisions on who's my true target audience.
Yes.
Right? I met with somebody about a month ago, and we realized for every 10 leads that came in, 2 they could convert into a customer. 3 they had to refer out to somebody else because they didn't do the service. And I'm sitting there talking to them like, so what does it take for us to do this work? I'm not trying to be rude and take work from somebody else, but we're we're a lot of times paying for these leads. These people are coming to you because they trust you, and it's very much aligned with what you're already doing. So why aren't we doing this? And they're like, oh, we're just not trained on it. I was like, okay, so how much is it going to cost to be trained? And we went through the math, and I was like,
that's extra revenue.
In 1 month of all those leads you've turned away, you would have more than paid for your training and still had a profit. And so it was about doing that math.
Your favorite.
An evil word. It was about doing the math and just trying to figure out, hey, where are we going wonky? How can we strengthen our business?
I love that. And so many people, you mentioned earlier about pricing, and that is something that is, I was just talking to Trent earlier from Red Hawk. A lot of people want to go in to be the most competitive price. And
Excellent strategy.
Yes. And my strategy is not that. I want to be competitive, not necessarily the least expensive. And I chose that intentionally going in.
You don't want to be Walmart?
No, I don't. But at the same time, knowing your expenses, I really need to increase my profit a little bit more. How do you guide clients to do that confidently versus just, if you raise the price, we'll say 5 cents an item because we sell items. Will it lose the business? No, probably not.
Depends on the strength of your relationship, honestly. If it's somebody who's just blind, getting quotes from like 3 or 4 people,
yes,
then yeah, you could lose it because someone else came in 5 cents per unit under. But if it's somebody you have a relationship with and you're only 5 cents above, they're going to be like, we're going to call Melissa because we know her, we trust her, we know if we have a problem, we can go to her, and it's not some random 800 number.
Correct.
So it's about building in that whole value and reminding your future customers about the value that you bring. I am here. I'm here locally. I will deliver this to you.
Right.
You can text me if there's a scratch in something. I will make it right versus an 800 number.
Right. I think a lot of people, especially in today's age, with the digital world that we're in, miss the human component to any type of sales transaction or any type of transaction. Especially those that want to go viral, let's say, on TikTok, selling a widget and never knowing that audience. Don't get me wrong, I wouldn't mind the revenue that comes from that, but I want to know who's using my widget.
Yeah.
And how do you go about building even your business? How do you build your people who are going to buy your widgets?
Yeah.
What do you do?
Me, it's all clients. And so 100% of our clients come from other clients or from other coaches, like business coaches. They realize that the coach either realizes, hey, Melissa doesn't understand her numbers. Ask her what her targets are. She doesn't know. She doesn't know how she's going to get there. Can you help her out with that? Because they're specializing in all these other areas in their operations and how can we make this more efficient? And I'm coming at it from a finance standpoint and saying, Melissa, if you want to get to 10 million, this is how big your team is going to be. Now let's talk about what roles they're going to be in. Okay, this is what your expenses are going to be. You're going to need another warehouse. You're going to need this. So I'm bringing the numbers to the table because that's just my language.
Yes.
Where the coaches are doing all of this other stuff.
That's so lovely.
So yeah, I think the proof is in the pudding and that we keep growing. And now we have a team of 8.
Oh my gosh, that's so exciting.
Yeah, it is. It's great, and we have over 40 clients across the U.S. and Puerto Rico. But it's just great because they're all coming from word of mouth. And that means that people are seeing value in the services that the team is providing to them.
That's so exciting.
Yeah.
And you still are very involved in the community here. I see you everywhere. And what's your favorite part about being in Huntsville?
The community.
And so I kind of answered that with that, but
you did. Well, this community, it's like a small community, but it's also a large community, right? And it's so supportive. I don't know, maybe this is happening behind my back, but I don't know of anybody who is just negative about somebody else. We have group texts, we have other organizations we're a part of, and it's, hey, I need someone who can do X, Y, and Z. Here you go. I know some of the marketing agencies that I work with here in town, they're like, oh yeah, I got a lead for this. They called me and I told them to call so-and-so. And I'm like, you guys do that? And they're like, yeah, I know I'm not the best one. Like that's not in
my wheelhouse.
That's not my wheelhouse, right? And I'm like, wow, we're all supporting each other because we know, what is the saying about the boats rising and rising tide will lift all boats?
Oh yeah, true.
I want to say, yeah,
that sounds really good.
Yeah, we're going to go with that. We're going to go with that one. But yeah, so that's what I believe is that, hey, if everyone's trying to support each other, we're all going to rise up.
Absolutely. I feel like there's enough business to go around. I work with a lot of my competition in town and happily.
Yeah.
And I see them and I feel like I can go hug them whenever I see them in the community. And it's like, I genuinely want them to be successful.
Yes.
And I'm sure it's the same for you, for your competition. I mean, sometimes you're just not right fit for somebody.
Yeah. And I will tell them 100% on the front end. Usually on the front end, I can identify them. I have an Excel spreadsheet that says.
Wait, that just makes me laugh because you are such the Excel sheet guru of all times.
So I have an Excel sheet. So you know what your avatar is, right? So I know what my avatar is. And so I put it before I knew the word avatar because,
I was thinking of the movie at first when I first went in.
Not just me. I was like, yeah, blue people. I have an Excel spreadsheet and it gives like points to different things, like has a bookkeeper, has this, has more than X number of employees, there was just a bunch, right? Service business. And so you got like plus a certain number of points. And then there's two biggies that are negative points. You need to be at a 70% for me to do an initial strategy day with you. And you need to be at 80% for me to recommend going forward. Anytime I have let somebody in that did not meet the qualifications, it's happened 3 times. It took me 3 times to learn.
3rd time's the charm.
It has bit me in the butt. Severely. And I'm like, dang it, I should have just listened to my Excel spreadsheet. And the big negatives are interrupts me while I'm speaking, like during our initial conversation, and says, but my business is different. Like, those are the 2 negatives that I think you're allowed 1. If all the others were positive, you're allowed 1. But if you hit both, there's no way you can get in.
Yeah.
Because that to me is a symbol that they're not willing to learn.
Right. You have to be willing to take the information in, especially if you're going to an expert in it. I know marketing. I know swag. I know my lane. And so I
do not.
I appreciate that you know the Excel and the numbers, and the CPA can handle my taxes and guide me when IRS does call me. And I have my bookkeeper because she had all those codes aligned properly. Because if it wouldn't have been for the team, there's no way I would have felt confident going into a meeting with the IRS.
Yeah. Good for you. I've been scared in my mind. You should have texted me.
Oh, I can't say I was confident. I was confident in the data.
Yeah.
Your favorite. I was confident in the data. I wasn't confident in the approach that it was, the relationship, the way it was establishing, but that's a whole other story. We'll have to have a glass of wine one night and talk about that. But yeah, so, clients or businesses, especially if they're starting out, faced with these new taxes, faced with which software do I use to invoice, and faced with how do I get my customers and all of these hats that they're wearing. Do you think hiring a bookkeeper is the first thing to do besides the profit and loss, like save for an HR person? Do you think hiring the right HRT would be the one?
I think if your business is, let's just say government contracting, where, hey, you got this contract and you find 40 people, then yes, your first hire is definitely somebody with recruiting experience, somebody who can hit the ground running there, right? If it's a marketing agency, perhaps you don't need an HR person yet. You just don't need it, right? Unfortunately, up until a certain point, it's about everyone is going to wear all hats, right? Until you get to a certain point, and then it's like, okay, now you can just focus 100% of your time on orders. Right now, there's not enough orders for that person to do that, right? So you're doing a little bit of orders, a little bit of marketing, a little bit of this, right? So I always say your first hires have to be able to wear many hats, and having the conversation like, hey, we're going to test drive, because as we grow this, you get to pick one of these lanes to stay in, which is going to be amazing. Right now, you got to do them all, right? And you get to learn everything.
And you'll get to pick your favorite.
Basically, as long as you're great, right? But then it's also just about, hey, before I make my next hire, let me tuck aside my cash. So like how you said, I was saving for a bookkeeper. I was trying to grow to that point. It's about tucking aside that cash so that when you hire them, it's not like, oh, no, I don't get paid.
Right.
But she's getting paid to lick envelopes. Like, no.
Yes.
You don't want that, right? So you want to be able to see into the future with those leading indicators. Like, hey, this is what's happening. I'm getting more traction here. I'm getting more clicks. I'm getting more requests for quotes. My pricing is right. I'm converting a little bit better. as you start to see that, then you're like, okay, and I've tucked aside some cash, so now I can hire that next person because I have line of sight into the next 3 to 6 months.
Mm-hmm. I remember one of the first times when we first met, you saw our numbers and you looked at me and you said, how long can you sustain doing all of it by yourself? Just by looking at the numbers, you were like, okay, she's probably at a point where something needs to shift before I went batshit crazy.
Yeah,
we might bet.
And you did.
Yeah,
and you found fantastic team members.
I did. I'm so blessed that I did too. And I love that even though it's crazy busy and I'm still wearing many of the hats or I have to pivot a lot, that I'm providing, they're working for their income, but I'm able to do that for such a gift.
Oh, yeah.
That they can change, it's changing their lives, hopefully for the better.
Yeah.
And that's what you're now having with so many people on your team. I love it. It's so exciting.
Well, it's great on that side too, but then it's also great to see my clients as they grow. I have a manufacturing client up in Indiana, and when I first started working with them, there was some cuts, we're having to right size, there was a lot of stuff happening. Then we started to get all these other operational things working. And then earlier this year, they did a second shift because they have so much work now. And I'm not taking credit for that, but I am taking credit for the ability to forecast and say, we cannot keep this many people working with the work that we have coming down. We had no line of sight. And so there was a solid 9 months where we didn't need those people. Had we kept them, we would not be in a position where we are right now.
Right.
Like our debt would have been sky high. We would have had zero profits, right? We wouldn't have been able to, in manufacturing, you have to purchase supplies on the front end, and then you have to wait for your customer to pay you after you're done building your widgets and you ship it. Then that costs money. Yeah, that costs money, right? And so had we come into this year with a loss and with all of that debt, we wouldn't have been able to fund this growth because growth costs money.
Absolutely.
It's not cheap.
No. What I absolutely love when you are sharing that story is you were part of the team. You're saying we.
Oh, yeah.
And I just think that's so valuable to a business owner to hear that, okay, they're in this with me. And I think that's something that's imperative that any business owner that hires anybody on their team or even outsources certain facets, that they feel that component in the relationship.
Oh, yeah.
Just like you said at the beginning, your data sheet, if they say these two things, it's just not going to be a good fit. It's an interview process on both sides.
I would say probably about 80% of our clients will Teams message or text or email outside of their, we have regular accountability review calls where we're reviewing financials. But outside of that, it's, hey, I'm going to do this sale. I'm going to hire the salesperson. Can we talk? Absolutely. Let's do it. We don't nickel and dime. We're a partner. We want to be there for you when you're making the hard decisions. We don't want to find out about them later. It's our big thing. Because that's when mistakes happen. I'm like, what did you do? But no, so it's fun to be a partner with them.
I love that. Any last bit of advice for anybody out there that's ready to start a business? To build with intention.
To build with intention. And maybe this doesn't go along with build with intention.
Okay.
But there's never going to be a perfect time. Now, I'm not saying just jump.
No.
You want to make sure you've tested your rope and you've done your training and all of that. But the weather's never going to be perfect. It's, I hear, well, I'm going to do it, after I have this baby, or I'm going to do it after we get married, or after I get my next promotion, or after, you're just delaying it. Like, there's no time like the present. It's either you're going to do it or you're not, right? It's like shit or get off the pot.
Yes.
And once you have your data, I had one client, before she started her firm, she came to me and she had gone to the Catalyst, which is an amazing resource, and had her binder with her business plan and all this stuff. I was like, holy crud, you were like, talk about deep. Yeah, she was ready to, she had it all. And I was like, that's great. And I was like, let's talk about it. And I was like, walk me through your business problem. And she's telling me, and I'm on the whiteboard doing my math. And I'm like, so you're making 50 cents an hour. She's like, what? I was like, you're working 50 cents an hour and you're working 20 hours a day. I was like, and that does not align with what you told me your goal was, which was to work less and make more. I was like, if you're okay with this, I'm good. I'm just telling you what. And she's like, how come no one told me that? I was like, because everyone else took number of clients, number of patients, number of widgets multiplied by X, how many you thought you were going to sell, and got your revenue. So I was like, but when it's a service-based business, we only have a finite amount of time.
Exactly.
And so we have to take that into account. What is
50 cents an hour?
Yeah, I was like, what is humanly possible for you to do, right? If you're cleaning houses, you can't just say, yeah, we have 100 houses at, $100. I don't know the math. Like 10,000 a day. I can do 10,000 a day. Okay, it's impossible. There's not enough time in the day for you to do it. So I brought in that operational clarity. So we went back to the drawing board, adjusted pricing, adjusted packages, did some other things, and she was able to walk away with clarity that she could do it. But I told her, I was like, you have not only tested your backpack and you have like 3 parachutes ready, you know where every part of that fabric was made. Mm. You've gone to the factory. I was like, you've done everything possible. I was like, you just need to jump. There's never going to be a perfect time.
Right.
Yeah, and she jumped and she's doing great.
I love that.
So.
It's true. There's never going to be a perfect time. And every time you work, even if you're a little hesitant, if you do something intentional daily, whether it's, for us, it was pick a name and then pick a logo and then pick a business plan. And then it was like, I put a date. That's the day I'm committing. Like, that's the way I work. And it worked out. And
I have another client and she was like, this is the date I'm quitting my job. And she's like, I've gotten this trademark. I've done this. And she's very excited, but also scared. I was like, it's okay to be scared. The unknown is scary.
Absolutely. You can't foresee the future, but if you are happy and you are going after something you're passionate about, just go full force. And it will work out. If it doesn't work out, there's other things out there. Pivot. Yes. Pivot the couch, man.
And when you're building with intentionality, I think the other thing I just want to leave you with is the number one mistake that I see business owners make, small business owners, is not realizing that the person that got you from 0 to here is not the same human being that will get you from here to there. And that is a very tough conversation.
Yeah.
Because it's like, man, they've been with me for, 10 years and they've always done this. I'm like, this is not making them successful because they know they're disappointing you in the outcomes. And then it's also hurting you because they're not the right person in there, right? And it can be hard for owners to come to terms with that. Yeah.
Have to let go.
Yeah. And I was up in Pennsylvania, and I had 2 clients, one on a Monday, one on a Tuesday, for all-day sessions and with their coaches. And I was like, how did they both have the exact same problem? And it was the exact same way. They both had 2 people on their team that had been with them for over 20 years that they weren't doing it. They just couldn't. It was nothing against them. The company just outgrew them and outgrew their skill set. And so it's about, hey, what are we going to do here? Like, let's talk about it. I'm not about being cruel, but let's have some conversations. And is there a better place for them?
And that's, as a business owner, those things are so hard. You're letting people go, letting clients go that no longer align with where your future is. Definitely a growing pattern. And when you said the same person is not going to get you to where you want to be, that includes yourself.
1,000%.
Because you are so different than when you started, and you have more confidence, you have more worry, or different worry, different things like that. But it's all continuing to change. And
you could have been a great bookkeeper for the first 2 years.
Never.
But are you going to be able to be a great bookkeeper when you're at 5 million and 10 million and 20 million? Probably not.
Right. And the same software is probably not going to be
100%.
I say probably, I don't even know.
You're 100% right. The rule of thumb is every 5 million, something's going to break. So in between 3 and 5, 8 and 10, it's a pattern. And it's either people or processes or systems. Those are the things that will break.
And even in your business, not just the dollars, but 3-year mark, 5-year mark, 7-year mark, same.
Yeah.
Things change and pivot, and hopefully for the best.
Hopefully, yeah. But you have to be able to be nimble about it, too, right? And be open to the change. The people that are saying, AI is so blah, 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 right? It's like, hey, but it's here. So how are we going to work with it? Like, how are we going to work with it? It's a tool, just like the calculator was a tool for math. And they thought, oh, our kids are going to be so stupid because now they have calculators. These machines are going to do all the math. Well, if you don't know what to put in the calculator, you're not going to get the right answer.
Absolutely.
And same thing with Excel. If you don't know, the other day
I can do sums.
I used AI for something the other day for a spreadsheet. It was for a new business, kind of. A client who's thinking about taking on this new arm. And I was like, this number is insane. It was like $2 million in like the first 6 months. I was like, what the heck? Because it still takes a human. And so I look and I'm like, hey, like, why is this number here? And they're like, oh, you put in the wrong formula into here and you did this. Do you want me to fix it for you? And I was like, well, bro, don't gaslight me. You literally did this for me. But it's another example of AI is not going to fully replace. It still needs us to lead and to say, oh, actually, this person's going on maternity leave, so we need to take that out. Like, those are all things that we know, but that the machines don't know yet.
Absolutely. We have to evolve with what's available to us. But still remember the connections, the human components.
100%.
They're irreplaceable. Something AI can never do is have that human. It can be sarcastic if you want. It could be super supportive, super encouraging.
It could be a gaslighter.
It could be. What was it recently? We did the caricatures. I saw that. And then people were, I forget the name when they have you be negative on them and pick on them and things. I can't think of the proper term, but people were doing that with their chat. Like, no, thank you.
Yeah, I'm good.
I'm good, thanks.
I like my positive chat.
Yeah.
I like that side of him. Yeah, I was going to say on the human-centric, everyone's going after all these AI lead generators. And I'm like, do you know how many emails I get a day trying to sell me? I was like, it's delete, 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 delete. Like, I don't even open them.
No.
Or calls or voicemails. I was like, the people that are getting my business and that are breaking through are the ones that I know or that are coming from a referral. If I don't know anybody, maybe I'll go on chat and say, who do you know that can build a deck? Mm-hmm. But I would also text it out to all my friends and say, hey, do you know anything about Jim's deck building, right? So it's still that personal connection. I even got a handwritten letter. And I was like, oh, what is this? Like, I actually opened a piece of mail. I was like, oh, it's handwritten. And I opened the mail, and it was somebody who's up north, like Connecticut, offering the exact same services as me. And I was like, but she got through the gatekeeper.
Yeah.
Because I opened the mail.
Yeah.
I would have never opened an email.
Yeah.
From her, because I don't know her. I would have never answered her phone call because I don't know her. If it was a referral, like Melissa's like, hey, I think you should meet Susie. You guys have some commonalities, but I would 100%. The fact that she sent that handwritten, I was like, oh, this is unusual.
What is this?
Did I meet somebody recently? Let me open this. I'm like, oh, that's nice.
And the penmanship is so great.
Right. But I'm like, those are the things that are still making connections now because we're getting so inundated.
Saturated
with
out there.
Technology ads. And we know they're ads and we know someone's paying for it. It's just inauthentic.
Absolutely. I totally agree. Definitely the connections. Definitely be ready to pivot. And definitely be ready to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have your numbers ready.
And that too.
Look at your numbers. Decide what your tolerance is, right? I always tell people before they hire, I'm like, what does good look like for this role in 3 months or 6 months or 9 months? Define it. Before you've looked at a single resume, tell me what it looks like. What does good look like? Because after you've met their dog and their husband and their grandma with cancer, it's a lot harder to make those decisions at 3, 6, 9. And so then I'm like, how much longer do you want to set fire to cash each month?
Just burn, baby, burn.
Right? And like you said, good looks like at 3 months, they are adding 10 new contacts to the HubSpot that they've met at events that are decision makers. And they've only been averaging 3. You want to keep throwing money at this? Because we can. It's your decision, but realize this is costing you X a month and not only payroll, but also wasted time and effort. Because if you had somebody in there who was capable, they would be adding more leads and converting them, and you'd be getting paid. So the choice is yours. So that's my job, right?
Yeah.
My job is to lay out the numbers and to let people kind of let that sink in. I have a client right now. She's been here for forever. They're having one of our consultants do coaching with her. I think it was every other week. We've talked about her on our leadership weekly meetings. And for months, for at least 6 months. And finally, this last week, I said, if we've talked about her for 5 minutes on each of these calls for the last 6 months, all of us on, CFO, we have a CMO, CEO, COO. I was like, and we've talked about her at this other offsite meeting, and you're paying for coaching. I was like, in 6 months of time, you have spent basically a year's worth of salary on coaching. At what point do we just say, I'm done setting fire to money? He was like, how much was that? And I told him, he was like, change needs to be done, huh? I was like, pretty sure I said that like a while ago. Okay, yes, you're with me now.
Golly.
Yeah. But it's about tying it down because there's not an infinite amount of cash out there. We can't give to everybody.
No.
Right?
As
much as we would love to, but we can't.
And it doesn't mean you're just holding people accountable for what they want and based on the data that they have, what they've shared with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny. When Savannah was like 3 or 4, I was the campus president in Biloxi. And I remember very distinctly her saying, Mom, why do you always fire people? And I was like, okay, first of all, it's not always. And I was like, second of all, you get an allowance. And she's like, yes. I said, what do you get an allowance for? She's like, for doing my chores. And she had this chore chart. And, the more chores, like a quarter here, a quarter there, a dime, whatever. And I was like, what happens if you don't do your chores? She's like, I don't get paid. I was like, it's the exact same thing. I was like, if I walk you through and I say, these are your responsibilities, and I coach you, and I train you, and I'm providing constant feedback, I was like, if you're not able to complete your chores, you no longer get paid. But the chores still have to get done, so now I have to pay somebody else to do it. I was like, that's all that it is.
Did she get it?
I don't know. She's only like 4.
Oh my gosh. But bottom line, chores have to get done.
Yes.
Even in your business, what you have to do, you have to get the nitty gritty done. Don't work 20 hours a day making 50 cents an hour, hopefully not, but get your stuff done, get the right talent, and make sure everybody's in alignment to build with intention.
Yeah. And where are you at your highest value?
Yes.
Is it at your highest value to sit there licking envelopes? Probably not. Is it your highest value when you see that 2 people that meet your avatar are going to be at this Chamber of Commerce meeting? You better get over there. Let somebody else do the licking.
Yeah, absolutely.
Train the dog.
I know. It's so true. And then the thing, too, is there are people that just want to do the stuffing of the envelopes. They don't want to be at the front. And they thrive on that. And it's like, give them that gift of having that opportunity to do it.
1,000%.
And with so many resources out there, it's definitely doable. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate the insight you gave us.
Thank you so much for having me. This was fun.
Oh, good.
Thank you for spending this moment with me. If today's conversation resonated, I invite you to follow Mac Moments on your podcast platform so you do not miss future episodes. Growth does not happen all at once. It happens moment by moment. I appreciate you being here, and I look forward to our next conversation.